So I'm Michelle Hyatt from American Quilter Society, and I am here amongst my fellow Seam Quilt instructors, as well as we have Betsy and Taylor here from AQS, who will be helping to answer some questions. And so let me share my screen and we'll go ahead and get started on taking you through what our seam retreat is. So we're going to go through what the seam quilt retreat is, a little bit about the AQS membership, what's included in your retreat, the seam quilt retreat agenda, the class instruction, the sewing machine rental, and then our instructors and their projects, followed by Q&A. If you do have a question during our presentation, you can wait until the end, or you can drop it in the Q&A section and our team will try and answer as we go. If not, they'll give it to us at the end and we can answer any of those questions. So SEAM stands for Shared Experiences Amongst Members. AQS is hosting this community event for its members to come together and share a bond of quilting using the needle and thread as a conduit. It's one of our new events that we've added this year. We feel that giving or offering these immerse workshops led by our world-class instructors during the day, allowing you to learn new techniques will help you hone your skills and also build some friendships. So I, as well as many of the other instructors on this Zoom here, have taught retreats for years, and we know that it's quite beneficial. It gives you time to learn over the course of 4 days, and it gives you a chance to finish a project, which is really nice, or at least get very far along on it. And if you forget what you're doing or what you learned yesterday, you have that instructor again the next day, and you can get brought up to speed and reacquainted with the process that you're working on. So it also allows you to have some exciting excursions downtown in the evening, and we'll talk a little bit about that. You'll meet other quilters, as well as this is a great thing to do with your fellow quilty friends. So in order to attend a SEAM event, you must be an AQS member. You get some really exciting things with your membership. You get 6 free issues to American Quilter. You get special discounts, you get early enrollment into our quilt weeks that we host in 5 different cities throughout the year, and you get a discount off of things in our AQS shop. So it's more than just this retreat. You have plenty of other benefits with an AQS membership. The Seam Quilt Retreat will be held in Paducah, Kentucky, which is known as Quilt City, USA. Your retreat fee includes 5 nights lodging at the Holiday Inn downtown Paducah, and it also includes breakfasts daily. We'll kick off with a Tuesday night event at the National Quilt Museum, which will have appetizers, and you'll get to mix and mingle as well as see their fabulous displays amongst your fellow attendees. It's a limited group just to those attending the retreat. In addition, you'll have 4 days sessions with one of our world-class instructors. You'll have 4 catered lunches during those days of instruction. And then on Thursday night, there is a Fabric Paradise trip to Hancock's of Paducah, which will be just open to you. And they're offering a special discount. And then we'll end on Saturday night with a farewell mixer, a dessert bar, and a little bit of show and tell. So all of that is included in your registration fee. There are single and double occupancies available. It's at the Holiday Inn, as I mentioned, which is right on the riverfront. It's a very nice hotel. It's a short walk to the convention center where our classes will be held. We have single occupancy rooms still available, a limited number on each week. And then we do have double occupancy rooms that you and another quilter can share. We do ask that you try and arrange for your roommate before booking, but we are maintaining a list of retreaters who are seeking roommates. So if that's something that you would like your name added to, or to check to see if there's someone on it already that you can be paired with, please call us at the 270-898-7903 number. That's Monday through Thursday from 7 a.m. to 4:30 Central. And we can see about getting you on that list or sharing information from someone who's already given approval. So really nice there. Our retreat agenda starts on Tuesday. You are able to check in at 4 p.m. at the Holiday Inn. If you are arriving earlier to the city and you would like to take up the mural tour, you could sign up for that. We have additional information available in the downloadable agenda. You must pre-register for the event, but it is free. It's something that our local visitors bureau is doing. Our ambassadors will give you the walk. And then that evening, we're kicking off with that private event at the National Quilt Museum. The doors will open around 4:45. You can pick up your welcome pack and your schedule, and we will kick off with some appetizers and some private viewing of the museum's collections. You can also add the night before. If you want any information on that, you can contact us and we can give you the link. We hope to have that link available on our website tomorrow, but you can add a night and directly arrange that with the hotel. Our first full day of workshops will be Wednesday. You'll have a breakfast buffet at the hotel, followed by a short walk to the convention center next door. You could also drive if you wanted to, but it is literally 50 feet. You just have to go through the flood wall gate, and then you are there. We will have class from 8:30 to noon, followed by a catered lunch from noon to 1 that you'll get to mix and mingle with the other classes. And then you'll be back in class from 1 to 5. And then you are able to explore Paducah downtown area on your own. I know there's a local quilt shop that's staying open late. Many of our restaurants are looking forward to meeting with you and having and showing off their menus. Our next day is Thursday, and we will be a little bit of a rinse and repeat, except for our class day will end at 4:30 on Thursday, as we will begin shuttles to our Hancock's excursion. So it's an optional thing. We will have shuttles. You could drive. We do ask if you plan on taking the shuttle that you reserve that during the registration, so we know how many shuttles to have. But basically, the shuttles will begin leaving from the Holiday Inn to Hancock's of Paducah at 4:45, and then run nonstop back and forth until 7 o'clock, which they'll return home, back to the hotel, I should say. And then you can also explore the Paducah downtown area for your dinner after. On Friday, we have our workshop day 3, and again, you're having the buffet and then class per the usual schedule, and then you're on your own for dinner on Friday night. On Saturday, we will have our last class day during our normal hours. You are then able to grab a dinner on your own, and then we will have a farewell mixer at Walker Hall, which will have a dessert bar, so don't eat dessert at your dinner. And we will also have all the classes show their show and tell. So I know that's one of my favorite parts of any retreat. So we look forward to that. On Sunday, you will have breakfast at the hotel, and then you check out by 11 a.m. In addition, you can also add one extra night if you chose to stay in the city an extra day. You can add that to the reservation with a direct link to the hotel. For our classes, just to talk a little bit about them, we've gone through the hours are basically 8:30 to 5, with the exception of that one on Thursday. We break an hour for lunch from noon to 1, and you eat with the other classes. So there's 5 classes in total, and there are 20 students in each. You are working on the same project all 4 days. You will go through different techniques and such, and each of the instructors will talk a little bit about that. If you're needing a sewing machine, some classes, you should note, do not require a sewing machine or only would be used minimally. And the instructors will talk about how in some cases you could just do that piece at home afterwards. But if your class does require a sewing machine, you can either bring your own or you can rent a sewing machine for $99. Again, we just ask that during your registration that you add that to your registration items. So we have some fabulous instructors here. On the first week, I am joined by Becky Goldsmith, Judith Baker Montano, Pat Holly, Sue Nichols, and Catherine Redford, who we'll hear from all of them shortly. And on the second week, you are joined with, or you can choose from Barbara Klein, Heidi Perfetti, Gina Perks, Kathy Dunnigan, and Jane Sassman. So to get us started, let's meet with those instructors and hear all about their project. So we're going to start off with Becky Goldsmith.
Okay, I've unmuted myself. So hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to get to visit with you. The class I'm teaching is hand applique, and you can see the edge of the quilt there and behind me on my design wall. The interesting thing about this to me is that it's created in 2 layers. So there's the central circle that's appliqued on one background, and the larger background that's appliqued separately. And then the smaller circle is set into the bigger circle. But you don't start by doing that. What you start with is the hand applique. And this class is basically a hand applique techniques class. I don't care if you're a beginner. In fact, I love beginners. What I will teach you are all of the techniques you need to be able to do all of these things. And that would include how to make templates, how to make a positioning overlay, how to do the invisible stitch, how to do outer points and inner points, outer curves and inner curves, and little tiny pieces and circles. There's more than one way to do them. I do needle turn hand applique, and while I can teach many other forms of applique, including other forms of hand applique, what I will focus on in class is needle turn because I like it the most. I think it's the easiest. Let me think what else. You don't really need a sewing machine. The only time in the construction of this quilt that you use a sewing machine is setting the 2 circles together. I don't know that anyone will get quite that far in class. I will definitely teach you how to do it. It's a fun quilt. It finishes about 36 by 36. It is remarkably quick to applique. So while there are small pieces, there are also some big pieces that go fast. Let's see, I did mine all with needle turn. If you wanted to include wool hand applique, you are definitely welcome to do that. Michelle, do you have any other things you'd like me to add to that?
No, that's excellent. That's excellent.
Okay.
I don't know that we've gotten any questions for Becky at this point, so we'll continue on and then we'll see if we get any towards the end. But thank you, Becky. All right, so next up is my project. I am a piecing instructor. My project is Kentucky Rose Garden, and it is making wedge stars, 2 different types of wedge star, an 8-pointed wedge star, and then a large wedge star that's known as a beacon wedge. And they come together easily. It's a strip piece method, so there's no wise seams. I utilize the Studio 180 tools, which allow you to slightly oversize and trim down. So the pattern is written for that. It's offered in 2 sizes. You could go with a throw or a double size quilt, but it's extremely easy. In addition to learning the technique here, I tend to talk to you a little bit about color, color placement, as well as basic piecing techniques, how to improve your cutting, your stitching, your stitch length, your pressing, how to go about putting, ripping a border, how to go about putting your backing together, everything you need to complete the quilt. But it's very easy. There is a kit available through AQS. If you are interested, once you enroll, you get access to those links. This pattern is not available yet publicly. It would be available after the retreat. So you would have the first opportunity to make it. So that's what I have on my project. And we'll go ahead and move on to Judith Baker Montano, who unfortunately is unable to join us this evening. But you can see many works of Judith if you go out to her website. She is definitely a one of a kind artist. She has fabulous techniques, and the embellishing and the different techniques that she utilizes in this project called Under the Sea. You will be able to transfer them not just for this project, but to use them on other projects. But she teaches you to think like a painter, but with fabrics, threads, yarns, ribbons, and all sorts of different things. So Judith is great. If you aren't familiar with her work, please make sure to go and check out her website. But this is a stunning project that she has for us, and we're hoping you might consider it. Next up, we have Pat Holly and Sue Nichols, the Holly sisters. So I'm going to turn it over to them.
All right. Well, I'm going to get started here, Sue, at first, and then Pat will chime in a little bit. So we are excited to be teaching a quilt that is a small version of the Beatles quilt. Some of you may have heard of. I have a little picture of the Beatles quilt here. So this is the big Beatles quilt that lives in the National Quilt Museum. And our smaller project is called All You Need Is Love, but we actually like to call it the Baby Beatles quilt. So, and this quilt, of course, is themed on all things about Beatles music. And we are going to be teaching the techniques we used in this quilt, which include a raw edge, stitched raw edge fusible technique. It gives you a lot of room for detail, there is a lot of detail on this. And it also has some nice piecing, precision piecing techniques that we'll go over in the quilt. And I teach a lot of machine quilting, so I'm going to do a little small machine quilting kind of workshop within our workshop about some of the techniques I've used on quilting this quilt and the Beatles quilt. Let's see, I'll let Pat jump in and see if she has a few more things to say.
Okay, hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, what I'm excited to share with you is that not only are you going to get the pattern for the All You Need Is Love, but we're including some of the blocks from the actual Beatles quilt. And I've been working on, this one's for a hard day's night. I've been working like a dog. And all the little images are from song lyrics. We're going to concentrate on teaching you some detail machine applique techniques. I specialize in very sharp points and tiny little circles, so looking forward to that.
So we look forward to seeing some of you at our workshop, and the real bonus is that it's Pat and I together teaching. So
I want to go take the class.
I know, me too.
All right. So next up, we have Catherine Redford, who this will complete our week 1 instructor. So Catherine.
Hey, well, I was in Paducah in April and it was too much fun, but it was really busy. So I'm looking forward to being in Paducah when we've got time and space to see everything. So my class is really technique class. It's combining some of my favorite things. And usually when I'm teaching, it's always a rush because I want to tell everybody everything and we don't have time to actually sit and sew. So I'm really excited that we're going to have 4 days and we're going to have quite long days so that we can relax and we can do things. So we're going to start with what we're going to start with. I better look at my thing. We're going to start with some improv piecing. Okay, I used to call it happy scrappy piecing, right? So we're going to be happy and we're going to bring our bags of scraps. So we're going to work out ways of putting our favorite pieces together. You know, when you've made a quilt and you've got some leftovers, we're going to put those together. So we're going to make some blocks and some small pieces. And then the next day, we are going to get down to some walking foot quilting, and that is a class that's always a rush. So we're going to have time to sew, and you can either work on the pieces you've already done, or if you're just getting to grips with it, because everybody's welcome, you can just work on some pieces of fabric. And I have some pieces here that they are like cheetah cloth, right? You can get all sorts of fantastic cheetah cloth that looks like you've pieced. So on that second day, when you're just getting to grips with the quilting, you might want to bring something that looks like that, or just work on some solids. Then the next day, we will continue with our quilting. So you probably still have some pieces left to quilt that you made on the first day, so we'll do those. And then on the last day, we will turn the machines off and we're going to hand stitch. And I love adding hand stitch details to my work. And we'll all be good friends by then, so we can sit around the table, we can put our hand stitching in. And we can talk about what we're going to do with all these things that we've made. Because we're just going to have I'm hoping that we'll all have made our own little bits and pieces. And, you know, some of you might have made a 24-inch square. Some of you might just have 10-inch squares. But we'll talk about what we can do with them. We can make them into bags and pillows. We can put them as pockets on clothes. The sky's the limit. So I'm excited, and I hope that you are too.
Fabulous. Thank you, Catherine. And thank you so much for pointing out that, you know, it's going to be a lot of fun just seeing Paducah. You know, we all love it, but it is extremely crowded during Quilt Week, and this will give us a chance to experience it with less folks. All right, so next up we have our week 2 instructors, which the week 2 is October 7th to the 12th. Again, it starts on a Tuesday and ends on a Sunday. And so Barbara Klein is our first instructor up to talk to you about her project.
I am looking forward to a fun retreat. And my class is basically techniques. So you're going to learn a lot of different new techniques. And I don't see myself, so I'm not sure why I can't. A while ago I could, but I can't now. So we're going to guess where we're at. Are we here? So this is the center star, and all these stars that are in this sampler star quilt are, there are no inset seams or no Y seams in the quilt. So it is a class if you've never, if you've always wanted to make an 8-pointed star and just haven't jumped into making it, now's the time to do it because there's no inset seams. So the class begins with a simple 8-pointed star, and as you go through, you learn techniques. So another technique would be strip piecing and cutting diamonds from that. You'll be learning how to cut diamonds with just a plain ruler. The other unique thing about this class is that you don't need to go out and purchase rulers. If you have a right angle ruler and just a regular 6x12 ruler, you can, they're the rulers that we're going to be using, and we use a technique where you put the templates on the back of the ruler and you use the rulers that you have. So all you need is a triangle, right angle ruler and a regular ruler. So the one featured diamond of this particular quilt is the split diamond, which if you look here, you can see this purple diamond. Am I in the center, Michelle? Can you see the split diamond?
Yes, they can see you on a little section, Barbara, but your quilt is up on the display.
Okay, so here it is, and this same diamond is used to make the spiky points out from the star, as well as in the border of the quilt, which it looks completely different, but it is the same border, for the same diamond, I should say. So I hope to see you in Paducah and looking forward to a fun few days.
Excellent. Thank you, Barbara. So I've noticed a couple of you have raised your hand. If you want to, we aren't opening up the vocals on this Zoom, this webinar. You can type your question into the Q&A, and then we'll make sure it gets answered or asked at the end on your behalf. So if you want to go ahead and type that in, that would be great. All right, up next we have Heidi, and we'll let her talk to you about her beautiful mosaic quilt.
Hi, everyone. How are you? I'm Heidi Perfetti, and I'm in session 2, as Michelle pointed out. And for my 4 days, we're going to focus on mosaic quilt making. We're going to take a deep dive into the process, and we're going to bring the beautiful vase of flowers or heart of flowers mosaic quilt behind my shoulder to life. You're going to learn about the importance of depth and movement and emotion in mosaics, and in using fabrics and color choices, and my unique design process inspired by traditional hand-cut tile work and digital tools. During the retreat, I'm going to walk you through my direct and indirect transfer techniques, and there's going to be a lot of demonstrations. We're going to sketch and cut and lay out, all while balancing the traditional tools like regular fabric scissors and colored pencils together with a demo of modern apps like Procreate and Illustrator. Plus, you're going to get a sneak peek into some of my newest tech, which skips kind of the tracing step and goes right into creating the vector design that you need if you wish to cut digitally. But don't worry, if you're not tech savvy, this is all taught very welcoming, step-by-step way. There's plenty of hands-on. I'm going to show you all kinds of ways to create a mosaic without even using tech if you don't want to. But beyond the quilt itself, what I think makes this retreat truly meaningful is the environment. We're going to slow down, we're going to connect, we're going to laugh, we're going to enjoy, we're going to take a look at many aspects of my process. I'm going to give you all of my tips. I literally load up my presentations with tons of information. And we're going to support each other, and hopefully you'll leave with some new skills, new inspiration, some new friends. And if you're curious about mosaic quilt making and you're unsure where to start, and you just want a few days to relax, I hope you'll consider joining me on this retreat. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Next up is Gina Perks.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Well, hi. I agree with everybody. This really looks fun. I would love to take classes from everybody pictured here. But this time I'm going to be teaching, and my specialty is the quilting process, which, if you are familiar with what makes a quilt, it must be quilted. So it must have 3 layers and have stitching. So every quilt needs to be quilted in order to be a quilt, and that's what I'm going to be teaching you. I found that a common theme among quilters is the design process. They always ask, how do you come up with ideas? How do you know what design to put where? So I've come up with a process that is very simple. It actually takes the entire piece and breaks it down into small manageable compartments, so that you can just enjoy the process and it's much less overwhelming. We are going to be working with smaller kind of panels, which I've designed, and as you can see in the slide, it's a very simple quilt. Again, there are actually 9 sections that we'll be working with separately, and they're actually separate pieces. So with each piece or section, we're going to talk about how do we listen to what the quilt is saying. A lot of people think I'm crazy when I say I'm just listening to what the quilt's saying. So I'm hoping to teach you my process of interpreting the quilt and deciding where to put the designs and what style are you hoping to gravitate towards. So yes, if you want to just look at what I've done and do what I've done, that's totally fine. But I'm also going to nurture your own style and development of your own style, so that if you are a little bit more of the creative type and you want to quilt yours completely differently, that's totally fine. But again, if you want to just kind of follow the pattern as is, that's fine. I really just want to encourage you to be who you are as a quilter. So we're going to be really talking a lot about the design process. Then we're going to pull in some great techniques. We're going to be using a lot of templates, which are, it's kind of hard to see with the light, but we're going to be using templates. They're also called rulers. So rulers, templates, we're going to be using those as training wheels. So you'll be learning all the techniques for using these templates and how to mark them with your own personal registration lines. We're going to be learning about threads and tension and all of those fun things. Pretty much everything you can think of in regards to machine quilting. Well, kind of the icing on the cake will be some free motion quilting to kind of bring in a little bit more detail to your piece. And lastly, we're going to take those sections and we're going to learn how to join them at the end. So basically, it's quilting. I found a lot of people struggle with working with an entire large quilt, and it's very hard to kind of wrestle through the weight and drag of a big quilt. So by using a quilt as you go type of technique, you have a smaller piece that you're working with. Then at the end, I'll teach you how we can join the pieces together so that it's not real obvious that you've done it that way, but it makes it a lot simpler. Now, let's say you're a long arm quilter and you really want to come and learn some of these techniques. That's completely wonderful. You can take all of these techniques with you when you go home and work on a long arm machine. Really, any machine type you want to use is going to be perfectly welcome with this class. And as Heidi said, we're going to laugh, we're going to have a great time. My classes, I think, are always fun. At least I'm having fun. And I think everybody is just going to have a great time. And again, just making some good friends and getting to kind of slow down a bit and really enjoy. And just basically pick my brain. I've been doing this a long time and I'm very excited to be a part of this amazing retreat. So I hope to see you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Gina. All right, we're going to go on to Kathy Dunnigan.
Can you hear me? You got me? Can you hear me, Michelle?
Yes, I can. Just give
Okay.
me one moment. There we go.
Okay.
Sorry, the slide was
All
pausing.
right.
All right.
All right. I'm so excited that I'm getting to take part in this seam retreat at Paducah. It is just amazing that I've been invited to do this. I am amongst amazing quilt teachers, but I'd like you to know that I've been doing this a long, long time. I have found a way to help most every student that comes into my classes to find the way that their applique will just fly and be wonderful. I get people from beginners, and I'll take beginners through advanced, and I will still find something that will get the advanced ladies happy or gentlemen. And my beginners, I'll take you through either needle turn. What I'll probably put you on is prepared edge using a foundation product that stays in. And it's a very simplistic method. It makes the most gorgeous machine or hand. And so I'll just tell you a little bit about the project. It's up on the screen. This is not going to be a pattern available until after the retreat has come and gone. And I'm very excited about it, the Garden of Friendship. And it features the 4 blocks. And at the retreat, you will be able to choose which block you're going to start on. We'll start with some of the little medallion parts that are on the outer borders. Everything, absolutely everything to make this entire quilt. And I believe it's about 70 by 80. Beautiful, beautiful fabrics that are from Michelle Yeoh. Her designs are gorgeous. I've used a lot of her things. And I think you're going to love it. All of the embellishments. That means the beads, the wired silk ribbons, the silk ribbons. Things that ultra suede, I'm going to be teaching you how to use that, which is a raw edge, but everything else will be a prepared edge. And you will be prepping this to sew it by hand or machine, like I said. So you'll be able to bring your machine or get in contact with AQS on how to secure a machine to use. We are going to have a blast. Everybody that comes into my classes, we leave as great friends. And it's all about fun. I know that the quilt world is not a needful industry. And I always have thought through the years when I had my own store, since 1987 quilting, I've always thought it's an entertainment industry, and it is. So if you're going to come and spend all of your time with me, I want you to have a great time in Paducah. I want you to take in all that the city has to offer. AQS does everything over the top. I'm thrilled to be there with you. If you have any questions, I handhold if you need it. I have lots of demos that go constantly. I never sit down. And so if you want that kind of a class where we're laughing, we're telling stories, and we're enjoying that time where we get to really immerse ourselves in every bit of that quilt, anything will be, open to you after you take a class with me. You will not ever find anything that's too difficult. So I am also known as Chatty Cathy. So Michelle always has to tell me when to zip it. I could tell you lots more and go on and on and on, but I hope that you'll take the time and sign up and come sew with me. We're going to have a great time in Paducah, and I just can't wait. So if you have any questions, just let us know. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy.
You're
All
welcome.
right. Last but not least is Jane Sassaman, excuse me. So Jane, will let you take over and talk a little bit about this beautiful leaf project. I love it.
Well, since we will be in Paducah in the autumn time, I thought it would be really nice to do some autumn leaves. And I use a raw-edged applique technique, and I always make my shapes first, and then the composition comes later. I really have been having fun lately making leaves that are made of a lot of different colors, and you can see that on the picture behind you. I think the best part of this project is that everybody's going to be working on their own design. I have designed myself the patterns for leaves, some oak leaves, some maple leaves, some ginkgo leaves, acorns and things like that. But I've done them in small, medium, and large. And we're also throwing in the spiral. To me, the spiral is the shape of growth. And you can see in the picture in front of you how it adds to the atmosphere of the piece, the movement of in the composition as well. And so I'm going to come with models, basically paper silhouettes of the different sized leaves so that you can play and say, oh, I think this is going to be good and this is going to be good. Somebody may be doing a table runner and somebody else may be doing some larger compositions. But it's up to you, and so is the fabric that you choose to use. I love to use hand-dyed fabrics, but batiks, solids, simple prints would also work for these techniques. And basically, I treat fabric more like paper. And in order to do that, all my fabric is backed with an iron-on interfacing, which gives it body and stability. So once you make your shapes, and actually I brought one here, you probably can't see it that well, but this is the big oak leaf here. And so it makes it really easy to stitch because of that stability, those nice even sections, gives you nice lines to quilt on. We will just be working on a top. We won't get to quilting, but the other thing you're going to learn is how to use a satin stitch and make it so it doesn't look mechanical. The satin stitch is the most mundane mechanical stitch on the planet, but there are some things that you can do to tweak it so your quilt doesn't look like an old lady Christmas sweatshirt. And so that's going to be part of the fun, and I can't wait to see what everybody comes up with. And that's good for me.
Fabulous, Jane. Thank you so much. All right, so if you have a question, go ahead and drop it into the Q&A section. You'll find that by taking your cursor and hovering at the bottom of the screen. The Q&A will pop up. I'm going to bring up the next screen as I talk through a couple of the questions that Taylor has been fielding. So if you're interested in booking, you can see the information there. You can go to americanquilter.com and click on the quilt retreat, or you can do your /seam and it'll take you there, or you can call us Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 4 p.m. Central, and the phone number is there. It's 270-898-7903. So we did get a good number of questions about locking up of the room in the evening. And yes, the rooms will be locked during lunch as well as in the evening. So you are able to keep your quilt projects there safely, and any of your tools, your sewing machine, and any of that. And then what were some of our other questions? Yes. So if you haven't taken a class with us at one of our quilt weeks, you may not be aware. We do put in all of our classrooms. We have Quilter Select as a sponsor, and they will be giving us, letting us loan to you long rulers, so you won't have to travel with those. We'll have cutting mats from AQUilt, and we will also have rotary cutters if you choose to use the ones we have, or you could bring your own. I will tell you, if you are flying with a rotary cutter as a traveling instructor, you must put that in a checked bag. They will not let you put that on your carry-on bag. You are welcome to bring extra lighting if you would like, or a seat cushion, any of that you are welcome to bring. So let's see here. The commuter rate. So if you live within 100 miles of the Paducah location, you are eligible for a commuter rate. That's the only group that we're allowing a commuter rate to, and you are welcome to call the office to get that commuter rate. So you would want to call that 270-898-7903 number Monday through Thursday, and they can talk you through, they can qualify you as well as provide you with the commuter rate.
What about irons? I guess you don't have to mention irons.
So apparently I failed to mention irons. Yes, we will have our fabulous irons in the classroom. We have a special treat for you. Typically Panasonic sponsors our quilt week, but Rowenta is sponsoring our seam quilt retreats. And so we will have their top of the line irons in our classrooms, along with some large ironing boards, and then smaller stations in some of the classrooms that don't need the larger ones with larger piecing. But it's all there for you. You really just need to bring yourself. Many of the instructors have kits. You can check that information out on their supply list. So if you go to our seam page, you can click on any of the instructors and get access to their supply list and see what they're offering as far as a kit or what you might need to bring. But you can rent a sewing machine. If you've missed that part, you can rent a sewing machine for $99. It will most likely be a Janome sewing machine. We are finalizing that now. As we're still getting signups, we need to get an exact number of machines that we will be renting. So we are working out those details, but more than likely it will be a Janome sewing machine.
Somebody asked a question for Kathy Dunnigan, but she is answering that. So thank you so much, Kathy. And then somebody just asked if they are able to sew in the evening.
So we are trying to see if the hotel will allow you to sew in the evening, but the convention center will be locked up in the evening. If you rent a sewing machine, that sewing machine will not be able to leave the convention center. If you brought your own sewing machine, of course, you would be able to go and sew in your hotel room. But unfortunately, there is no evening sewing in the classroom. And that's in part due to some liability issues and such with having irons and such. So.
And that seems to be about all of the questions we've had so far.
All right, excellent. I am just going to go back just to the very beginning real quickly for those who came in late. Just to talk a little bit about what SEAM is. It's shared experiences amongst members. This is a quilting retreat. It does require you to be an AQS member. It includes 5 nights lodging along with breakfast. We have a Tuesday kickoff with a private event at the National Quilt Museum, followed by 4 days, full days of sessions with our world-class instructors who have fabulous projects. As you heard many of them describe, you will be taken from technique by technique by technique through their project, learning something each day and walking away with a lot of things learned at the end of the 4 days, and in many cases, a almost completed project or completed project. You also have 4 catered lunches at the convention center. So we will all leave our classrooms and go into one room where we'll have a buffet style lunch, which will be fabulous. And then on Thursday evening, there is the trip to Paducah, Hancock's of Paducah, which will be very exciting. It'll be a private event from 5 to 7. And then we have our farewell mixer, which is a dessert bar and show and tell at 7 o'clock in Walker Hall on Saturday night, and everyone leaves on Sunday. There are single and double accommodations available. The single means you have your own room. You are allowed to bring another guest, a non-quilting guest, in that room. There is a slight surcharge to add their breakfast to the room, but you can add them. A per person double occupancy means you're sharing it with another quilter. If you have a bestie that you travel with, you are welcome to make the arrangements, that both of you make the arrangements and list each other as roommates. If you would like to come and would like to be a double occupancy and you're in need of a roommate, we suggest that you call our office. We're keeping a list of those that are seeking roommates, and we can put you into contact with each other, and then you can talk amongst each other and decide if you're a fit or not. We don't get into the matching of roommate game. We allow you to talk to the other and work that out. The retreat agenda has us you checking into the hotel at 4 on Tuesday, going to the evening event. If you arrive early, we are inviting you to a mural tour by one of our ambassadors, which is really exciting. You do have to pre-register for that event during the process. And then we have workshops Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They run from 8:30 to 5 with a break for lunch from noon to 1. You are on your own for dinner. And then on Thursday, as I mentioned, we have our trip to Hancock. And then on Saturday evening, we have our farewell mixer and reception. And then it is checking out on Sunday. So let me stop my share here and see if we've gotten any more questions. So it looks like someone has their hand up. If you want to type in your question in the Q&A.
And then somebody asked if they are able to drop off their machines on Tuesday evening, and if there's a fee at the hotel.
So there is, someone asked about the parking. If you can't hear Taylor, there is no fee for parking either at the convention center nor the hotel. And the classroom will be open on on Wednesday morning for you to take over your machine and all of your items. So we will not have access, participants will not have access to the classrooms on Tuesday, but we will be opening it up early for you to bring your stuff over and get yourself set up in time for class. All right, so it seems we have everything. I want to thank all those who attended and asked us their questions, as well as our fabulous instructors here for their time this evening. Hopefully this helped many of you who were trying to decide if the Seam Quilt Retreat was for you. And we hope that we see you here in Paducah in September, October. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.